Hello, everyone. This is Abdullah Ali, and I'm here to speak about social media and the negative impact it has upon our lives. Some people, if not all, have the obstacle of being indecisive, not knowing whether to choose this or not, or to go with what was said, or stay neutral. I myself am a very indecisive person who has to be persuaded and convinced more than once to choose one argument instead of the other. Social media is affecting our lives one day after the other, if not already for some people. Social media is vanishing some of the most important attributes a person might have. Back in the days when there was no such thing as a phone, people would have to send mails and letters as a source of communication. Today, a person who could reach another with just the click of a button. That's a huge advancement in technology, correct? However, think about how people use this development. Do the people use it in a way to keep themselves healthy and thoughtful, or lazy and lethargic? Because of social media, people today are mostly on their phones, and some don't even know what is happening around them. If you think about it a little bit more, you can actually picture these people as being brainwashed from social media. Social media is a general term, not referring to social applications such as Facebook and Twitter only, but also texting instead of speaking, and sharing moments online and on applications instead of sharing it with people, and much more. Social media has both benefits, which are the positives, and harmfulness, which are the negatives. However, one aspect is more dominant than the other. The progression of social media has increased its interest amongst people rapidly in the last few years. Why? Because these progressions are made to appeal to the users, and as a result, the users will use the applications even more. I found a really interesting and relevant quote online that says, "When I look back on my childhood, I recall adventures in the wood, writing stories, and creating games. What will the kids of today look back on? Apps." Social media is now starting to affect the children noticeably. I remember when my mother used to consistently ask me to come back home and rest from spending so much time outside, playing outside. And now she constantly asks my younger brother to go and spend more time outside rather than spending it on his iPad. It turns out that he wasn't the only child who didn't prefer the outdoor activities. But all the children his age today are just electronic fanatics. Social media affected the people's public speaking skills and made face to face conversations more awkward, harder, and more awkward. People started to share their thoughts and feelings to their phones, laptops, tablets, instead of sharing it with real life figures. Interacting with people helps one to actually observe their face expressions and gestures. Similarly, Tim Jarvis states in Oprah.com, quoting Pauline Vestner, saying, "And who are these people anyway? Electronic relationships makes it easier for friends to misrepresent themselves, always showing their best side, for instance." This shows that people through social network have the time to think how to interpret a situation, not be themselves, unlike if they are in this situation at that moment. All this results in the awkwardness of talking to someone. Two people can actually text for days consecutively, but once they get the chance to talk face to face or have a face to face conversation, awkward silenceness takes over. The awkwardness happens not because of the people, but because of their lost ability of communicating and publicly expressing oneself. Moreover, as said previously, social media has some good features. Along with the technological advancement, it helped to make a lot of the communication easier between people. Time consumption is not an issue anymore the way it was in the past. Social media helps people stay linked together and updated as well. If a person was to stop his or her usage of social media at that point of being updated, the factor of addiction wouldn't apply. Addiction usually refers to a compulsive behavior that leads to negative effects. As journalist Leslie Walker states, in most addictions, people feel compelled to do certain activities so often that they become a harmful habit. which then interferes with other important aspects or activities such as work or school. Social media addicts are unreasonable, yet can't see why. The addiction doesn't only affect the one addicted, but also others. For instance, we all know about texting and driving. People are so addicted to their phones nowadays so much that they decide to text, post on Instagram, tweet, and even snap while they're driving. As a conclusion, the addicted person does not gain anything but end up with a severe car accident and even might have risked other people's lives. This leaves me to say that social media, as much as we can get positives out of it, it's in most occasions the negatives outcome the positives. Another negative thing about social media is the way it is used manipulatively today. People use social media as a tool to manipulate other people's thoughts and perceptions. There's a solid line between manipulation and persuasion. We all use social media to interact sociably. Eventually, with time, people started to use it as a reliable source of information. Today, everyone shares political, scientific, and even economical point of views. This process of sharing information online can spread widely and rapidly. Having the option to share a post or retweet a tweet makes it easier and faster to create rumors, which affect people's lives in one way or another. One might state a point that is not true, and it would be passed across the entire internet network within no time. Marketer Ryan Holiday believes that if you are cynical enough, you can shape much of what the public reads, sees, and watches, especially online. A more personal quality that social media degraded from our lives is the time that we spend with our families. Social media created a gap between family members, especially with the difference in generations between the parents and their children. Social media is not only affecting the teens, but the youngsters and the elders as well. Most families face the burden of not having the time of not having enough time to spend with their children. A normal reason behind such lack of chemistry would be studies or work. Sadly, it is not the reason anymore. Today, the son or the daughter doesn't actually spend much time with his or her parents because the child might be busy sharing a post, texting, checking Snapchat, posting on Instagram, posting on Tumblr, and much, much more. In other families, the parents might be the ones addicted to their smart devices. In that case, their children might grow up seeking attention elsewhere due to the lack of responsibility from the parents. Think about what social media gave to us and what it took from us. It took the harmony and the connection. It took the harmony and the connection families had with each other. It took the important attributes a person might carry in the skills of publicly articulating oneself. It distracted people from actions that required full devotion and of their interest, of their attention. After the comparison of social media's positives and negatives, one can conclude that the negatives outcome and overweigh the positives. I'm not saying a person should stop using social media completely because that's basically isolating oneself. But at the same time, a person should not be addicted to social media. Social media addiction is real, and it can damage careers, it can degrade lives and even human relationships. For a person to end with the perfect results, he or she should moderate his or her usage of social media. Relatedly, journalist Mike Elgin says, the best solution I'm aware of is to visit social networking sites once per day. Schedule it and keep track of how much time you spend there. Try it, and if you succeed, you're on your way to beating addiction without going cold turkey. And thank you.